normally the weird thing about Mike's comments is he's normally put a comment in good morning about 10 to 7, and here he was exactly the moment that you popped onto the screen did Mike's comment appear on the screen. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Talking Niagara, and welcome, Dave. How you doing, Dave?
Not bad, not bad. I was Toastmaster last night at our Honeymoon City Toastmasters. I was awesome.
Were you? Oh, were you? Okay.
I didn't have to say that. Everybody knows it anyway.
Next time that you're a Toastmaster, I think I will send my private goon squad along to see how awesome you were. Right.
Well,
they'll be wearing t-shirts that say Wheels Anti-Fan Club.
Well, you know what? Once you get into that room and I lock the door, it's just like a steel cage match. There's no way out. So your anti-fan club will be retribution. Let's put it that way.
It's against the rules of Toastmasters, sir.
Yes, well, I'll change them just for that day. It'll be the wrestling version of Toastmasters.
That's an interesting thought. That really is an interesting thought. The wrestling version of Toastmasters. Wow. It's mind-boggling, that one. Okay, welcome everybody. Hey, so here's the thing. David Attenborough is at 100 on Friday. I hate these actual ones that actually talk ahead of the person being 100, that talk about them. It's as if they are tempting fate.
Yes, indeed. And I didn't like that too much, but here we are on Friday. So congratulations to David Attenborough. I love the guy. I don't know anybody that doesn't love the guy. He is a great educator. He's a journalist that got into nature and started to tell us all about nature and educate us about the wonders of nature. I love the guy. He's right up there with Carl Sagan for me and Stephen Hawking, people of huge intellect and ability, turn their efforts to educate the average person in ways in which that average person can understand and marvel. So huge congratulations to David Attenborough. Just imagine, he's been around for 100 years. What the stories he can tell.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So, yeah. And actually, the funny thing is, we always used to, when I was a kid, we used to have David Attenborough on many things on the BBC. All right. So he was a regular regular person on the Beeb.
Yeah, well, I just said I just got a message there from I Wilkins News, an exclusive from I Wilkins News, who says that Rubio will kick my ass. Oh, that little guy might crawl up it because he's so small. And that's the one guy I have to worry about. It's like an elephant and a mouse. You know, elephants are afraid of mice. Well, I might just be afraid of that guy because I don't know where he's going to be. He'll be up my pant leg, So yeah, so Rubio he'll be the problem. But as far as Trump, Vance, Bessent, Lutnick, I want to get my hands on Lutnick and beat the living crap out of him. I'll do it with one hand tied behind my back. I'll close one eye. Right. I'll make sure that I can only breathe half as much, so I have to make it even.
You clearly don't like Lutnick, do you?
Hey, did you hear his? He was taken away for a congressional hearing, of course, and because the Republicans own the Congress and the Senate, they took Clinton and they put him on film in front of everybody when they quizzed him about Epstein. But because they're Republicans, they took Lutnick and no film, no nothing, no recording. They just put him in a closed room so the public couldn't see it. And then, but everybody, even the Republicans, were just like thought the guy was just a liar. He just kept saying things like, so they asked Lutnick, so you said that you were so opposed and so turned off by Epstein, he made you sick and you vowed never to see him again. And yet you took your family and other people's families down to see him. You engaged in business with him. And those are the only things that we can find so far in the files. Of course, there are many things that didn't make it into the files. And he just says, well, I don't remember. It's something I can't tell you about. And he says, well, how come you told everybody you wouldn't go see him or even, make contact with him at all? And he said, I wouldn't. I didn't say that we wouldn't. I'm serious. That's the kind of thing he was saying. I said, I wouldn't go and meet with Epstein anymore, but I didn't say that we wouldn't, meaning me and my family and that. So I was telling the truth. Mm-hmm. Seriously. I think if Trump, it's a good thing they didn't put it on film, because if Trump ever saw it, he would have thrown a guy out. But, there weren't only guarding him against the public and the media. They were also guarding him against Trump, because they didn't want Trump to see that, because his main man Lutnick would have been tossed on his ear. But I'll do that for you, Trump.
Okay. Well, moving on, you've kind of moved us on to the next story. Republicans are worrying about what White House nonsense hurting them during the midterm elections. And hey, we're 6 months away. It's May.
Yes. Now, everything here is everybody's worried because Trump is making weird things, like making himself look like Jesus. And then another day he's got an assault rifle, telling Iran they better watch out or I'm gonna kill you. And he's gonna wipe out the whole civilization in a day, and on and on. So this has made it very difficult for the Republicans, who see declining support among the people, and they think they're going to lose big in the midterms. I would say to them, don't underestimate Trump. Don't underestimate Trump. He's looked really bad lots of times, but was able to turn it around on a dime.
Yeah. It was, if you think about it, it was, he had this debate with Kamala Harris, which was about 6 weeks before the election. And he didn't come out of that debate looking pretty at all. And yet he still won the election.
Well, that's the one where he was telling everybody that the Haitians were eating dogs and cats.
Yeah.
And there was no proof of that at all. It was what it all turned out. The one lady, she didn't even say the Haitians ate her cat. She just said she had lost her cat and wondered where they were. Somebody picked up on that and said, well, the Haitians must have eaten it and they're eating the pets. And that just zoomed out of control, and nobody did any fact checks. And Trump looked like a complete imbecile saying that on TV. They're eating the dogs and cats. But you forget the power of Trump. Trump has this ability, of getting votes.
That was a low point. That was a low point for him, and he just turned it around.
Yeah, he turned it around instantly. He didn't look good during that whole debate.
No, he did not.
He looked tired. His lips.
And the weirdest thing is about this is typically where on a debate where conservatives rule the roost, but when you're talking about money, it's conservatives that dig into the more liberal candidates. But she kind of ruled the roost on everything in that debate, money and the works, and he looked like a fool throughout that whole debate, and yet she. Her popularity declined afterwards, and his popularity increased afterwards.
Well, the lies are sort of catching up to him, but like I say, never call him out because he has got
Yeah.
remarkable abilities. The ballroom, let's say the ballroom right now is way over expense, and it's no longer going to be. First of all, Trump was going to use his own money to pay for it. Then he was going to get him and friends to pay for it. But now the Republicans have tried to slip in a bill and to make it, the taxpayers got to pay for it now. So the taxpayers are going to pay for the big ballroom. So that's all gone. His meme coin, everybody who bought these meme coins, that's crashing. They're worth almost nothing now. His golf tournament thing that he aligned with the Saudis on, that's all crashed. And so investors are lost there. The Trump phone, the Trump cell phone, they didn't turn out to be very good at all. So these are all the little things, but he always survives them all.
Yeah.
And the thing here, though, the big problem they had with when he pretended to be Jesus, that was pretty irksome to some of his MAGA followers, the strong Christian, fundamentalist Christian group. They didn't like that one bit. And welcome to Talkie Trump, your daily dose of Trump. Yeah, and that's another reason why he has a powerful effect, because it's impossible not to talk about the goof.
Yeah.
You know, every day he's doing something dumb, but he does have that power over. He's got people in the States who take a couple of drinks of Trump Kool-Aid then are addicted and lose half their mind and just believe everything he says. So that's the problem we see as reasonable people.
Yeah.
We have to fight that. But in any case, the article is about the kind of goofy things that Republicans are worried about, like the thing when he pretended he was Jesus and when he totes a gun around, another meme where he totes a gun around and calls upon the elimination of a whole civilization. We know that's just huff and bluster, that part of it, because his generals wouldn't go for that anyway. That would be that would be genocide, and that would be against the Geneva Constitution and all that, and Convention and all that. But those things aren't helping the Republicans at large right now, and of course they're worried about the midterm. But I would say to them that Trump has the ability to turn things around pretty quick.
That's fair. That's fair. He does have that ability. But we are now 6 months out.
Yeah, it's still 6 months, and it looks like the war is going to end. That's the big thorn on the side right now for Trump, is he's got to get out of that war that Bibi got him sucked into. It looks like it's going to happen, and it looks like he's going to come up with a deal that's very similar to the one that Obama came up with, almost very, very similar. It's just like when he changed NAFTA into USMCA, it was pretty much the same thing. There was a few of the different things, but he could claim it was his. And now when he's going to deal with Iran, there's not much more he can do than go on to something that was very, very similar to the Obama deal, because he's got nothing else.
Why don't we cover exactly that? So this deal, this deal, he indicates that momentum is building for a deal. And Iran says it's reviewing Washington's proposal. So currently, last communications they had was yesterday through Pakistan, and Trump's characterizing this as very good, and the war will be over quickly. But at the moment, Tehran has not said anything. They're just reviewing the proposal.
I think Trump's inner sense tells him, do not get entangled into a forever war. Yeah, this is right now. This is a possibility of getting out of it. Also, it's a bit of sleight of hand, because after 60 days of war, you have to go to the Congress to get approval to go ahead with the rest of it. So if you take Operation Epic Fury and say that it's over, which they have said, okay, Epic Fury's over now. Now they can say we can start all over again. And now we got the next thing going. It was Operation Freedom or something like that. And then you could go another 60 days on the whole different operation. They've stopped that, and now they're going on a different operation altogether. So if they keep changing the name of it, they won't have to go to Congress for more money or approval of the violence. But right now, at least the bombs have stopped for the most part right now. That's a good thing. He claims that he's going to bomb the heck out of Iran all over again, but that won't do a whole lot of good. It'll just mean the same thing. They'll just bomb the crap out of more and more things, and the Iranians will bomb the UAE, and they'll bomb Saudi Arabia, and oil prices will continue to go up.
Yeah.
What Trump needs right now is to get the oil prices down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was just going to say, you're talking about oil prices. It was 180. My marker on Lake Street yesterday was 184.9.
Yeah. Yes, this is the short-term pain. We were paying $1.18 for a liter of gas, and now we're paying $1.80 a liter of gas. So thank you so much for that short-term pain, but I want that short-term pain to end. I want it to really be short, and that might be happening right now because the entanglement
is saying that prices are going down today.
Yes, because of every time there is the least bit of promise that there's going to be a peace deal or a ceasefire, prices go down very fast. And I'm sure lots of people are making money off of speculation.
And by the way, good morning to Nancy in Cleveland. Yep.
Hi, Nancy. How's it going?
Yep. And I know that you were talking about prices being at nearly $5 out there.
$5 a gallon.
Yeah. Right. Well, we're following them kind of in passing. I take a note when I pass on Lake Street every day. Right.
What was that last comment about Saudi Arabia? This comes from Saudi Arabia called them and told them they could not use their country for refueling when they started playing with the Straits of Hormuz. I don't know exactly all of that.
Yeah. Asked Carney to take the tax off gas. He did.
He took a lot of the taxes off the gas, so that it'd probably be more around $2 right now if he hadn't.
Yeah, exactly. He took about 15 cents off gas, didn't he, at one point?
Yeah, 15 or 20 cents, something like that.
All right. Okay. So moving on, global debt. This doesn't surprise me at all. Global debt hits a record of $353 trillion.
Yeah, this is very bad news, basically, because even though every country is collecting debt, this is a very bad situation for democracies in particular. We hear it from the States all the time, how much debt they are. We hear it from up here, how much debt we are in. And it's always something that makes me worry a whole lot, because the amount, there always is reason to borrow more and more money. We want the United States to be as healthy as possible, because sooner or later, Trump's going to go and things are going to get back to a little bit more normal. You want the United States to be very, very solid, very, very secure. We want them to be the leader of the free world, and they're not going to be able to do that if their debt keeps ballooning the way it does. We here in Canada, our debt is going up huge as well. And how are we supposed to make the turn? Like every time we get ourselves in more and more debt, it makes us less able to face up to huge challenges. Like if we get another COVID thing going on, what if there is a war that we have to join into? This is a strain on particularly middle-class people, but the debt that goes out there throughout the world usually is a burden for the poor.
Yeah,
because once there's government debt and debt here and there, prices go up, and whereas that might be a strain on the middle class, the poor are put into even worse situations because prices go up for them. And even here, as our gas prices went up because of this war, you know that the average the guy with a couple of kids and he's trying to hold down a job. He's got some old clunker, and now he's got to put gas into his car that's $1.80 a liter instead of $1.18 a liter.
Yeah,
that's gonna put strain on him.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, also the other aspect about the $1.80 a liter is that the price of everything that's being delivered goes up. So the price of bread has probably just gone up as well.
Oh yeah,
to that bird, right? You know, for that guy that you were just talking about, who's hit the worst, right? The price of bread, the price of eggs, all of that, the price of milk has all gone up to hurt him even more.
Yeah. So anyway, but even if the war is solved, it looks like it's going to be soon, and the prices then will start coming down, at least for gas. The problem is that we have incurred a whole lot of debt. So if you see the United States, it has just incurred about a $50 billion more price tag that the taxpayer has to pay for through the war, a minimum of $50 billion for that war.
Debt to whom? Yeah, debt. That's our indebtedness to whoever we borrow money from.
Right? Yeah, well, famously,
usually government bonds of some kind.
Yeah, famously, the U.S. had to borrow huge from China to get over the stock market debacle back in 2008, when on the subprime mortgages and all of that, the crash was saved by money from China, and it was in China's interest to save the United States from economic collapse because the United States was its biggest market, and yeah, so it's banks, it's countries. The United States, not so much Canada, but the United States gets a lot of its money from treasuries, and other countries around the world purchase those treasuries. Yep. And one of the reasons why they purchase a lot of American dollars too is because of the petrodollar. Every country needs to buy oil and gas, or oil anyway, in American dollars, which makes America much stronger. Because if everybody has to use the American dollar, everybody then has to invest in the U.S. in some way or another.
Yep.
So what we want to do is make sure the United States is in, sort of back on an even keel, and sort of remove some of its debt. Right now, you got guys like Rand Paul going on and on and on. He's gone on for years about the debt and warnings about the debt. We here too, our new prime minister ballooned our debt huge, and he uses the reasons why he said his excuse is that we have to divert away from the American market because we can't trust it any longer.
Yeah.
But still, it's putting a debt burden on us.
Yes, it does. It does. But that was actually, it's a bad thing, absolutely. But I think that was actually probably one reasonable excuse for increased debt. Although, we still do need to actually figure out a way out of it from the Canadian perspective.
Well, you have to pay it back, and guess who's going to be leaned on to pay it back? It will be the average person. And you're putting at risk with increased debt. You put at risk the middle class person.
Yeah.
Yes. Mike says, yeah. Oh, every country owns a lot of U.S. Debt and money. So when the U.S. was doing its trade negotiations and demanding that countries invest in the U.S., they already have. What they left out of the articles and those when we were covering that before, it was they already do. The UK, Canada, France, everybody invests in the United States, but the United States wanted them to invest more. And
yeah. All right. Okay. So that whole thing, the debt is going up worldwide, and that's just really. I saw this as an economic warning sign, which is why I put this one up there and thought we had to, recognize that fact. And every time you hear it seems to me that every time we hear that a level of government is putting up prices on something, or putting up a debt burden, it is very concerning.
Yeah, there's a worldwide debt they're talking about here too, and that is the problem, that every different country finds more and more reasons to put themselves more and more into debt, and they're getting to that point where debt is going to be unsustainable. And as I said before, the debt that we are incurring now, doesn't matter what the country is, it's going to be put upon the next generation, and it's going to limit our own standard of living.
Yeah.
If you think of yourself, a person like me or you, and we incur a lot of debt, and huge amounts of our income go to pay for the debt. If you're making $100 and you have to take $20 or $30 of that to pay for the debt, then you're only left with $70.
Yeah.
And that's what they're trying to talk about here. And that debt is growing to the point where it may not be sustainable.
Yeah.
And once that happens, then the only thing that can happen then is the banks will take over the world and they will dictate the terms. That's what happened in New York City. When New York City got to the point where nobody would lend them any money, and they had no money at all. They had no money for their police, their city, or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to go to the banks and say, well, we need the money. And the bank said, these are the conditions. We call the shots. We call the shots. We tell you who to lay off. We tell you who's going to get paid what. We're the ones that are going to call the shots until you get your house in order.
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid that's going to happen with countries.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Something we're going to do over the next few months. Oh, I got 3 comments. Okay. So household debt. Yeah. Well, that's impacted by all of this. We weren't talking directly about that, but it's always impacted whenever government debt goes up, right?
Thanks, Mike, for that.
Debt is the new world order. Yeah. All right. So moving on.
That's a good point, because that term keeps coming up again and again. New World Order, doesn't it?
Yeah. Moving on. It's something that I want to actually concentrate on over the next few months, and I've started this today with Niagara Falls, and we will go next week to St. Catharines and Welland, which is the current announcements to date for standing for any position in City Hall. Now, let's start on the mayoral position. Jim Diodati has already announced he's standing again. All right, I don't know that you need to kind of much introduction to Jim. His website's available right now to people, and it's jimdiodati.ca, and you can email him, etc., etc. So at the moment there's only one candidate for mayor, which is Mayor Jim. All right. So moving on to city councillors, Laurie Lococo has put her name in the hat again, and she's got a website which is laurielococo.com. Mona Patel has put her name in the hat again, and her website is monapatel.ca. Sheila DeLuca has put her name in the hat, and Sheila DeLuca is basically she's a leadership consultant. This is what she styles herself. She has been co-chair of the Niagara Falls Diversity and Equity and Inclusion Advisory Committee, and she founded DeLuca Leadership, according to reporting by Niagara Independent. And she hosted a local interview series called The Atrium, focused on local businesses and community leaders. And basically she's currently registered for the election. The other ones, so there's 3 candidates announced for city council. moving on to school board, Helga Campbell, who's a retired high school principal and has served on DSBN trusteeship since 2014 election. So she's standing again. And the candidate for the Niagara Catholic District School Board is, like you said yesterday, Mr. Tony Caruso. Right? And of course, we know that Tony is a local paralegal. He's run for Niagara District trustee before. He also ran for the regional council back in 22. Right? He's not been elected to any of these posts, though, right? In the past. All right.
Okay.
That's that kind of.
What was that last comment from iWilkins News? Something about
iWilkins News. So, she also Jimmy's campaign manager.
Oh, okay. All right.
Who?
DeLuca, maybe.
DeLuca, I'm assuming you mean. Yeah. Now, so stay away from Dunn Street. They're repaving today.
Okay, good news.
Yeah. Thank you for that one, Gary. Yeah.
Another exclusive from iWilkins News.
Where'd you get this iWilkins News from?
Because there was a famous there's eyewitness news in the States, so I just fixed it.
Okay. All right. Okay. And I think what we'll do is we'll cover next week sometime both Welland and St. Catherine's candidates, and we'll keep an eye. As we get closer to the deadline in June. We'll also then keep an eye at what the final candidate list is. So we'll spend, one day going through each of the municipalities.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So we have a quick run over of them. The advantage about those people that announced earlier is they'll be mentioned multiple times here. So I don't know whether voters are going to go out because of what we mentioned, but you never know, right? You never know. Okay, so moving on, U.S. lawmakers are demanding transparency on Israel's nuclear capability.
This is a very, very surprising. We find that the Israeli government is getting less and less popular with the American taxpayer and voter. They have always been convinced that Israel is just a wonderful place and they're beautiful and all that. But it's becoming very clear how brutal the Israeli forces are, the IDF, what they're doing in the West Bank, what they did in Gaza, all the problems they stir up in the area, and of course, you'll point to one thing only. They'll point to the October 7th invasion by Yair Sinwar, but the massacres have been going back and forth since 1897.
Yeah.
So the back and forth brutality between the Palestinian groups, the Palestinian Christians and Muslims versus the Israeli population. So this is so the United States. Most of the politicians are very afraid of AIPAC, which is the Israeli lobby group in the United States, and they won't say much about it. Trump himself takes a lot of money from them, and he is not going to say anything. Biden himself took tons and tons of cash from AIPAC as well, so he was very little going to say anything. But now you have more and more brave lawmakers standing up and say, well, what about Israel? How come we give them so much money? And why are we supporting him in the Gaza genocide? And this is very, very interesting because somebody has actually asked, what about Israel's nuclear capability?
Yeah.
Everybody in the world knows that Israel have bombs, but they came to an agreement with Nixon a long time ago saying we won't advertise the fact that we have a bomb or even admit it, and that way we don't have to do anything with the nuclear inspections or anything like that. We just pretend we don't have it, but everybody knows they have it. It's one of the reasons why Iran wanted a bomb, is because Israel's got one, and they wanted to have a deterrent. There is some worry that Israel can do anything it wants. It always just asks for forgiveness. When Trump didn't want them to bomb Iran back in the summer, they went ahead and did it anyway. And then Trump got really mad, and all they just do is shrug their shoulders. So okay, sorry, won't do it again. And they just keep doing it. So every time they ask him not to do something, they just do it. They did it with Biden too. Biden told them, be careful, don't bomb Ramallah or whatever else, and they did. They just did, And then Biden says, "Oh, okay, well, they didn't mean it," that kind of thing. I don't know but now there is more focus on them, and for the very first time I remember, is the lawmakers want to know what kind of nuclear capability Israel has, because they're worried that they're going to use that bomb on Iran.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they want to get ahead of it before Israel bombs Iran and then says, "Oh, we had no choice. We had to do it." And then
no choice. Yeah. I don't, in all of this, I don't see Iran as being a major threat. They're always a threat, but are they starting World War III? I don't think so.
They're not going to be too much of a threat because of the stranglehold of sanctions and other things that the U.S. have on them. Now they are a pesky, and they back the Houthis, they back Hezbollah, but between the United States and Israel has weakened them incredibly. So they have their ability to muck around in the Middle East is being hugely reduced.
Yeah.
Particularly Syria. Syria is no longer an ally of theirs because Assad is being booted out. So they have very little. Very little influence in Syria now. They're going to be harder and harder for them to get their weapons to Hamas. Although I don't think they had much to do with Hamas other than feed them some weapons, because Hamas is a Sunni group and they're driven by different theological or religious motivation. But the Houthis in Yemen, they could be a real problem, and so Iran can still supply them. But right now, I think basically that Iran is not going to be much of a problem, but the United States, the lawmakers want to know what kind of nuclear capability Israel has. And Rick says, once they get the ships out of out, the war is over. That's exactly right. So basically, they're trying to find a quick way of getting those cargo ships, because it's affecting the world economy.
Yeah. And I agree with that one, Rick. Absolutely. Once they get the ships out, the war is over, right?
But the problem here is we actually have U.S. Congress and Senate who are brave enough now to actually ask the question of the American CIA and military: how much nuclear capability does Israel have, and do we have to worry that they're going to use it and we can't do anything about it, because all they'll do is ask for forgiveness. They never ask for permission. They just ask for forgiveness.
Yeah. Well, as you said, the White House has been long ambiguous on the issue, despite admissions over the years, and Congress has also been kind of not really forthcoming in relation to the whole issue about the bomb in Israel. So now that they're looking into it, this is going to be a developing story, obviously, over the next few weeks. So the questions are going to hang high, and maybe this will also impact the midterms.
Well, we can, yes, because we find that the news agencies are no longer able to be controlled. It was pretty much, you cannot criticize Israel too much. Doesn't matter what Fox wouldn't criticize Israel, CNN really wouldn't, all the other news agencies wouldn't criticize Israel one bit. They would find themselves being the Israeli lobby would come right after them. So it's best for them not to say much. But you've got so much independent news now that it cannot be controlled, and people want to know. Okay, Israel's got a bomb. We all know that. How much capability do they have? Do we have to worry about them using it without our permission? They go ahead and do whatever they want without our permission, and they should have our permission because we're the ones that supply Israel with everything. And the main comment, of course, is how is a nation of 10 million people telling us what to do, a nation of 350 million people? We are the greatest power in all the world, and this little pipsqueak nation slaps us around and tells us what to do. So that's what the lawmakers are saying. And if you boil it down, it's because of the super powerful lobby and enormous donations that they come up with too. Trump needs those donations in a big, big way, particularly through Adelson. As a matter of fact, right now they're still looking for those donations, the Republicans, even though it might have a derogatory effect as people begin to see where those donations are coming from and for what purpose.
But okay, the latest headline from Deluded News is, of course, that come July 4th, the US will be rejoining the Commonwealth.
Oh, they're going to get King Charlie to take over again?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. There you go. Latest headline from Deluded News.
Yeah. Well, in any case, right now, we find that there is growing opposition to Israel. And this is just one indication that continues to happen when somebody is actually brave enough to go in the Congress and demand, what kind of nuclear capability does Israel have? They're supposed to be our ally. And here it says, Gary has said, be safe out there, Wills. Word on the street is Tanya Harding might knee ya going into your city, your voice.
There you go. All right.
Oh, thanks, Gary. I'll be wearing my cup.
And the question, the whole speculation of NATO is actually been up for speculation over the last few months, but I don't see NATO coming to an end because of this crisis right now. Okay.
No, most of the generals, most of the real staff behind the scene regard NATO as an essential part of U.S. strategy right now, and that's still very, very important. And despite what they say about Canada, the military has just very recently told the Congress how outstanding the Canadians have been in cooperating with the United States with the protection of the Arctic. Their only problem is that Canada could put up a little bit more money, but that's already happening. So that part of it's done. So no, you have to sort of take away whatever the political stuff is when Trump rants and raves and said NATO does nothing for us. Especially, that's odd because the only time Article 5 has ever been invoked was to protect the United States and to join with them in the war of Afghanistan. So Trump could say anything. The problem is most of the people who listen to him don't fact check him. But I don't think he's going to take 5,000 troops out of Germany and that. But that's aside from this particular article. The article is about Israel's nuclear capability, and it's obviously American Congress is getting braver, a little braver, and a little braver all the time, and sort of facing up to APEC. Right now, APEC has a monster battle going on with Thomas Massey, who is one of the few Republicans that want to discourage the Forever Israel wars and stop sending them so much money. They are putting an enormous amount of money against him, like it's an army of money against him right now, and they want to defeat him because he is a Republican, and he criticizes Israel. So they're putting enormous amounts of money to knock him over. But that tells everybody the same thing. The Israel lobby has this huge power. They can be kingmakers, and they can defeat a king if they want. And but when an lawmaker does ask the question, what kind of nuclear capability did Israel have? And you're not supposed to ask that question. It gives you an idea that the Israeli lobby is losing a little bit of its power in the United States.
All right. Just a reminder for everybody, your census forms are out. So time to fill up your census this weekend. Officially, it's the census is about what happens next Tuesday. But time to fill it up and do it. It's online nowadays. So you get, with the material that you got, the census material that came in through the post, you've got a secure access code that you'll give for online. There you go.
Okay.
All right. Just a quick announcement, because we know that's got to happen over the next few days. Right. Okay, Niagara's new digital radio station is out there, and it's going to cut the music, and it's called Auto Rock Radio. And they're basically reporting that 98% of every hour is about music. So commercials are limited to 12 seconds each, and very little on-air chatter compared to traditional FM radio stations.
Yeah, it's a new digital radio station. Basically, what she said, Laura Manella has said that she's sort of analyzed what people like, and of course, they don't like. In her analysis, most people, especially when they're driving their car, going about their day, they want more music, less chatter, less commercials. Well, you have to have commercials if you're going to pay for it. Yeah. So. I don't know how you're going to do that, but
and hey, for the record, I hate commercials. I'm sure you do as well, Dave. But I also recognize that they're needed to pay for it. Yeah.
Even NPR and PBS have commercials these days because they're going to have to make up some of the money somewhere along the line. So she's been in radio for 30 years and came and done a lot of talking. It says right in the first paragraph. Came to the sobering conclusion: listeners wanted less talk. Well, they want our show then, will they? But less weather, less commercials, less sports. So basically what she's saying is she's created a radio station where you can lock on and get music, the kind of music you want, and it'll be continuous more than others. And it'll be, and not just the same 30 songs repeated throughout the day.
Well, that's actually
the rotation of radio stations. Hit rotation is just that. They take 30 or 40 songs and just keep replaying them over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's what I've disliked for a long, long time. I used to remember listening to a DJ who'd talk about listening to Led Zeppelin all weekend. And he wouldn't play a single Led Zeppelin song because it wasn't on his recognized playlist. Right? Well, don't talk about, if you're going to talk about them, play them. Right? And this is one of the big problems about radio anyway, is exactly that the hot 30 songs that they want, that the powers that be want you to play are played all the time, right? You hear them on the way to work, you hear them on the way home again, and you think to yourself, I'm bored with this radio station.
Well, she says we have almost 5,000 songs. So the rotation is it's almost no rotation with 5,000 songs. You know, the rotation is so slow that there's almost no rotation. So if you got 5,000 songs, and you get everything, you get the classics. What she says here, she says with affiliate stations across Canada and the U.S., this is called Auto Rock Radio, is geared toward music buffs. It plays not just the classics, but deep album cuts rarely heard on regular radio. Yeah. I have to say that one night I went to Sobeys. Sobeys used to be open 24 hours a day. So I'd go there really late at night to do my shopping. And one time I was in there and they had music on, and it was some of the best music I'd ever heard. It was fabulous musicians, but not any of the tunes that you normally would hear or even recognize. It would be other album cuts or whatever else. And I'm listening to this and I'm thinking somebody in this store has made up their own tape and put it in there, because this is not the typical stuff you hear. It was really good music. It was album cuts from musicians and other groups that you rarely hear anymore these days. And I thought to myself, well, somebody's got an extremely good taste in music, because this is a very thoughtful music tape. Of course, that never happened again. I'd go back in there and it would be the same sort of rotation on the store music that they normally do. But that one time, because I remember asking the cashier, says, who the heck's music is that? I says, I want to hang out here just to listen to the music. I prolonged my shopping, which I don't usually like to shop. I get in, get out. But I was just kind of wandering around the store listening to the music. You know, and I think it was the mischief of somebody that worked there put their own tape in, because it was really good. It was really noticeable. Excellent array of music.
Yeah.
This particular radio station is saying that what I just said, basically, they're going to do this for this whole station.
Yeah. The only thing about it is that, for example, I listen to a on Sirius XM. I listen to a radio station, a station there when I'm traveling to, driving the car. I listen to a station there that is about it's deep. It's called Deep Cuts, and they're unusual ones. They're ones that are on albums that you wouldn't necessarily play every day. Right, and that's what I like about it, is because they're reminders of music, and none of it's, well, there is some of it's modern, but the vast majority is older music. It's been around for a while.
Well, I have a friend who does a show for a university station, Western University station, and his show is called Attenborough. It's 4 hours every 2 weeks. I'm ever since COVID, I haven't been able to get it very well, but I used to listen to that, and that is very much, it goes by a theme. He picks a theme, so the music can come out of classical, could come out of rock, country, heavy metal, and anything that he seems to fit the theme. And what you get is a real complete mishmash of music that somehow makes sense. So you might have some classical piece of music beside something from a heavy metal band, and so on. Yeah. So it works really good for me, but it takes a while to get used to for the average person. What did Betty just say?
Okay, sorry. What she said is, hello everyone, a new virus out there. Yeah,
the hantavirus. Yeah, we talked about that a couple of days ago.
Yeah,
we talked about that a couple of days ago.
No,
there is this kind of they're trying to tell everybody, don't worry too much about it, but the problem is this has become person-to-person transmission, which is very rare for the hantavirus. So it might be worse than they think it is. But that ship that they're worried about is now docked in the Canary Islands. And so they'll be able to get some medical treatment and, be able to help the people.
It would be isolated on the Canary Islands. That's a good thing.
Yeah, but at least on the Canary Islands, it would be more like before it was around the Cape Verde Islands, where you're not going to get a whole lot of medical attention or ability to get doctors and everything. But the Canary Islands, you can. They're connected with Spain. So they're, and Rick
is coming up with a number of choice songs.
Yes. Dealing with fools, I can't cheat you. Yeah. So that's typical. However, this Manella here, Manella, I don't know how to spell her name, Manella, but she says that the Niagara station focuses mainly on 70s, 80s, and 90s rock. A typical playlist on Wednesday ranged from Headpin Celebration, Eagles, Wasted Time, April Wines, Sign of the Gypsy Queen. Well, to me, that's not exactly, that's pretty much mundane, everyday music. So that was a bit of a disappointment for me. I thought when I read the article, it would be, something from the B-side, it'd be something from an album.
That's, That's exactly the reason I listen to what I listen to. But I also like chat. I also like chatter. I also like DJs giving their views on things.
I like the news.
When I'm driving,
a lot of NPR.
Yeah.
As far as music goes, lately I've been listening to the classical station 94.5. I'll switch it over to 91.1, which is the jazz station once in a while. And there's a university station 89.5, and you'll get a real eclectic mix of shows there. You'll be listening. The other day I was listening to country songs, and right after that, the next time I was listening to it, it was island music. A lot of reggae and calypso type music. And then after that, it was it could be heavy metal, and there was a classical piece too. It was all on 89.5. You can get that better now than you can before. So it is a very eclectic station. If you want to listen to a lot of different things, it's more interesting than ordinary radio.
All right. Okay. So Israel's army is basically saying shoot Palestinians, not settlers.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we have heard here, we covered the story where the Ben Gvir, I think it was and Smotrich, but Ben Gvir was the guy that came up with hang the Palestinians. There's a new law in the West Bank that there's a hanging that has come into that Palestinians can be hanged, but Jewish settlers cannot be hanged. In other words, in the West Bank, the soldiers are supposed to protect both the Palestinians and the settlers from each other. What the real rule is, shoot the Palestinians, let the settlers throw stones at the Palestinians, but if the Palestinians throw stones back at the settlers, shoot them. The rule is if a settler goes in and murders Palestinians, which has happened, they get off the hook. But if a Palestinian shoots back and kills an Israeli, that Palestinian will be hanged. That is the thing that I'm talking about what's happening in Israel right now. It is extremely one-sided. No wonder there's constant wars between the two of them, outrages one after the other, massacres one after the other.
Yeah.
And they're getting away with it because of the power of the Israeli lobby. This is an outrage in anyone's book when you have a death penalty for one side and not the other. So if you imagine in Canada right now, if we had a death penalty for Indigenous people, but not anyone else, but I could shoot and kill an Indigenous person and I'd get a slap on the wrist, but if they shot and killed a white person, they would be hanged.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what's going on in Israel right now. That's the terrible thing.
That is a big problem, right? When you've got different standards, and when the Israeli army is directing this double standard, that is even bigger problem, because the army is supposed to protect everyone.
Yes, and the real problem here is that up until now, the army has said, well, we try to keep them away from one another, and we're protecting both.
Yeah,
but the real orders basically have been revealed. It's being revealed that one of the Israeli commanders, general, has been exposed because his orders, Major General Avi Bluth, the Israeli commander with responsibility for occupied West Bank, had not known his comments would be leaked. See, his comments were leaked about his orders to his men: shoot the Palestinians, not the settlers. Protect the settlers, not the Palestinians. And of course, if the Palestinians fight back, if the settlers kill a Palestinian, so what? You look the other way. If a Palestinian fights back and kills one of the settlers, you hang them.
Yeah. And the kind of this is killing in a way like it hasn't been since the 60s, right?
Well, this is a whole different thing, because the West Bank is completely occupied. They're trying to settle the West Bank. They're trying to force the Palestinians out of the West Bank. Yeah. And they're making their life miserable. So they go to another village. Let's say that there was a Christian village recently. They've been there for thousands of years, a couple thousand years. And what happens is the settlers come and they start knocking over people's houses, and they start raiding them. And they don't have any right to the land, but they take it. And the Israeli army, who's supposed to protect that Palestinian village, don't do that. They let the settlers destroy it, force the people off of it. And if the people throw a stone back at the Israeli settler, then they shoot them.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of time for us to end the show today.
Yeah. Well, normally I bring up Gaza, and I will again. It's a nightmare there, that genocide that's happened. But I would just like to. But we just did cover the inequalities that's going on in the West Bank, and the same thing is happening in Gaza. And unfortunately, world leaders, like it doesn't matter where the world leader is from, they get back. They turn their back on that problem that's happening. What did Gary just write?
He was talking about a Fort Erie gathering, indigenous gathering.
On this page. Oh, okay. Looking for vendors too. Okay. And they're Trump calling.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Answer the phone, Dave. Answer the phone, especially if Donny Boy calls, right? You got to listen to Donny Boy.
It's going to be his agent that phones. It's going to be his manager, his evil manager, because they're going to arrange the steel cage match, but it's going to be fixed. I know it. It's going to be a setup. So I gotta when we arrange the steel cage match, I need somebody in my corner. Maybe the green bastard from Parts Unknown.
I don't think he'll protect you.
No, I won't. You'll probably hand Trump the concealed object.
He'll actually be poking. He'll be poking a one of those he'll be poking forks through the cage gaps, won't he? You come anywhere near, he'll be jabbing you with a fork.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah.
I mean, big industrial fork.
Yeah. Well, you don't know, but if the green bastard from Parts Unknown could ever come to his senses and be in my corner for tag team match, right, against Trump and his scurvy dogs that he has hired. It would be a great steel cage match. There would be, well, the world's problems will be solved immediately.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll leave it at that, guys. And Dave?
Without further ado, I bid you adieu. Do not forget Gaza and pray for peace.
Yep. Thank you, everybody.